Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my interactive Space Engineers series where you tell me what to build and I build it. This week's suggestion comes from Axyl of Hate Me Gaming, who requested I build a space station using the Graviton core. For those of you who haven't seen it, this is Axyl's Graviton core right here. A series of epic counter-rotating concentric rings at the centre of his space station. Besides blinging the place out a bit, these rings don't really have that much of a practical purpose, and that's something I wanted to change when it came to my version of it. So, without any further ado, here's what I came up with. The Graviton Space Station. Before we get started, I must stress that this is still very much a work in progress, as the outer ring has not been completed yet, and the station's functions haven't been automated. And this is due to numerous problems that I faced during the build process. However, in the final version they will be addressed, and this current work in progress version will be available on the Steam Workshop. It's fair to say the Graviton station looks pretty different from Axyl's original design, and that's because I decided to change the design concept on its head entirely. Instead of the concentric rings being at the centre of the station itself is the centre of the rings, and they rotate around the main body of it. And this design concept presented me with numerous problems during the build process, such as how to make the station accessible despite the rings potentially rotating around it. My solution to this was to have the station be set into two main states. One normal state where the rings aren't rotating and the entire body of the station can open up on pistons, and another which is the defensive mode, which I'll get onto later. The basic structure of the station is a round platform at the centre encased by two hemispheres that contain the control area as well as the maintenance area. These are then lifted away from the platform when the station is opening up by sets of pistons, allowing fighters to access it. The pistons must move very slowly owing to the massive amount of weight on them, as each hemisphere does weigh several 100,000 kilograms. Obviously in this state the rings are prohibited from spinning owing to the protrusion of each of the hemispheres. If they were to spin, they would either destroy themselves or the station entirely. A brief tour of the station shows its numerous features. This hangar bay is two-tiered and allows for the storage of many small fighters used for defence. In the bottom hemisphere there is the maintenance area, which also includes medical bays, storage as well as the power plant, and refineries as well as materials processing. The top hemisphere contains a command and control centre in which teams of specialists sit at consoles and monitor distant listening stations. Each console is fitted with a button that activates an alarm to alert the rest of the station that an enemy has been detected. The alarm can only be cancelled by the station controller, and it's his responsibility to decide the appropriate action once an enemy threat has been detected. The station controller can choose to ignore the threat if it's something like a mining hauler passing by. He can scramble the fighters, or he can set the station into lockdown mode, which brings it into its second, less common, defensive state. When in defence mode, the hemispheres retract over the station's central platform, protecting the internal parts, as well as the very vulnerable pistons, after which the rings around the station begin to spin, and the defence systems are engaged. The outer ring is equipped with projectors and warheads that create mines that are then cast out into space using the centrifugal force of the spinning ring. As the ring spins in numerous directions, the predictability of where the mines go is very difficult to ascertain, meaning that there is essentially a field of explosives that are floating around in space, making it rather dangerous for large ships to approach. The word for this is a danmaku effect, which literally means a bullet curtain in Japanese. This is particularly dangerous to large ships that remain relatively stationary, say if the crew was mounting an attack on the inside. The constant spinning of the rings and the deployment of mines would cause many of them to crash into the ship, causing significant damage and acting as a major deterrent. Let me know what you thought of this station, and be sure to leave any suggestions you have on how to improve it in the comment section below. It is available on the Steam Workshop, and the links to that are below also. Big thanks to Axyl for suggesting this idea. Be sure to check out his original video of the Graviton core, and I will see you next time. Take it easy, have a good day, bye bye.